Okay, Matt, whenever you're ready to get started.
Great, David. Good morning, everyone. It is April 21st, 2025. This is AMCC's National 30-Minute Call. Same time, every Monday, 11:30 Eastern, 10:30 Central, 9:30 Mountain, 8:30 Pacific. And I am Matt Bogosian, Executive Director of AMCC, the nation's manufacturing community of practice. And on the controls is David Van Sicklen, our Operations Director. First off, I'd like to acknowledge the passing of Pope Francis, an important spiritual leader. Our thoughts are with all those mourning his loss. He spoke of the noble purpose of business, the dignity of work, how market capitalism, can evolve to meet some of our biggest challenges, which reminds me of the podcast interview that's up now, the Manufacturing in American Century podcast. I interviewed University of Michigan business professor Andrew Hoffman. It's a fascinating story, but he really is. It's a great book. You should look him up. Andrew Hoffman, longtime scholar at the University of Michigan, has this new business book, really trying to transform the business schools of America to get leaders of businesses, to make smarter products that solve problems and improve the human condition. And so, just a heads up on that. For folks newer to this check-in call, it's every Monday. This is one of AMCC's 2 weekly activities where we build and maintain trusted relationships, which are a necessary component to all the other things that we need to do to strengthen the American project, which includes sharing stories around a common narrative, building better evidence and evidence-based strategies, taking actions that deliver meaningful incomes, and ultimately, which we talk about here on this call, how do we co-create better structures in this nation so regional leaders can more effectively add value and help others add value to making those products. So the second weekly activity we do, in addition to this call on Monday, is the Friday AMCC update that is informed by what we hear from you on this call and in the chat. And people are dropping stuff in the chat. Shout out Dan Radomski there from Centropolis, dropping a lot of good stuff there. That's a great, easy way for people. People can't always come to these Monday meetings, right? So we encourage people just to hop in and lurk if they want to, or whatever. Let's get it out there, man. We are in a race to trust and build strength across the board. So on these Monday calls, we also have short presentations sometimes, like we did last week with Megan Tackney of the Urban Institute, talking about their Work Rise program. And other Mondays like today, we just talk. We call these Monday meetings Roundtable days, where anyone can bring any issue to the floor, challenge they need help with, some kind of best practice that that can and should scale, whatever. So and we try to do this. We learned this over time. People called out and said, hey, can you do this every time? And so we think it's been working every time. We ask folks new to the call to put your name and affiliation in chat, but also on these roundtable calls, raise your hand, introduce yourself, to say, where you are in the manufacturing ecosystem of support, how you want to add value. Each of us have a role. And if you haven't introduced yourself in a while, reintroduce yourself. This is the way we get stuff done much more quickly than where we've been in our silos. So let's and I have a lot of things I can bring up right from the AMCC update. So I'm ready to do that. Dan, you're on. I see you, Dan. Come on. Who are you, Dan? Introduce yourself. Why don't you model for other folks who want to introduce or reintroduce themselves? Yeah. Dan Radomski, go for it. Nope, can't hear
I'm
you.
sorry, Matt. I was just a little distracted. What were you asking for?
Oh, just to introduce yourself, model how other people can do it. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks. I'm here at this event. I was trying to squeeze this in, of course. Love the weekly meetings. So yeah, Dan Radomski, Centropolis Accelerator, really unique hard tech accelerator. There's only a handful in the country, but what that means is we help design, engineer, and prototype and help companies scale up for manufacturing domestically. And what makes us unique is there's a few hard tech accelerators that have like prototyping spaces, maker spaces, which we have as well. But we're really unique in that we have in-house engineering. We're like a nonprofit engineering firm. We have 50 engineers on our team, experts in every area, mechanical, electrical, chemical. We have experts in polymers, advanced materials, metal alloys. And when we make investments in companies, we can put up about $400,000 per company, and the money goes into the development of the product. So design, engineering, prototyping, design for manufacturability. We help drive out costs and complexity and ensure durability, reliability, and products. And it's everything from consumer products to medical devices to electric vehicles, defense-related technologies, and
that's perfect, Dan. No, and this is what happens. You've just got each one of us on this call, has got a fountain of information. And so that's why the chat's so important. That's why being on as often as possible every Monday is important. That's why sending us stuff for the AMCC update is important. I see Hannah, Kentucky. Why don't you welcome and tell us where you are in the ecosystem of support.
Hey, thanks for having me, Matt, David. This is my first time joining the call. I'm happy to do so. My name is Hannah Conover, and I'm the founding executive director of Grant Ready Kentucky. And we work in the ecosystem sort of one step back. We work with small rural communities and nonprofits who are leading transformational projects. We help them get ready to do that. And to go after the funding they need to make those projects happen. One of the more interesting things that we've done in the past few years is worked at a state policy level to help build a $200 million match pool that allows our more underserved rural distressed communities to access that funding that they need for these projects by providing the local match component of federal grants. And we've seen somewhere between a 5-to-1 and 8-to-1 return on that from the state's perspective. So I'm really excited to join this broader group and find out what's happening in other parts of the world. So thanks for having me.
Awesome, Hannah. Yeah. And if you could just drop, some easy info into the chat. Dan did that, and I already see some chatter going back and forth from different parts of the country. Like Texas. I see Brittany Rosenberg from the Texas MEP is on. Brittany, you want to say hi?
Hi, good morning, everybody. Took me like 10 seconds to figure out how to allow permissions on Zoom on my phone, so thanks.
No
Thanks,
worries.
Matt, for the call out. Lovely, excited to be on. Thanks for the promo. I wanted to say in the email, by the way, that we did get a little bit of good news for the MEP centers last week. I did want to point out, though, the fight is still on because we do not have confirmation that the MEP centers, that all of, say, the next round of July center renewals, including Texas, we don't have confirmation that those are safe. So we're still hitting the road, as it were, and spreading the word. But
no, I appreciate that, Brittany. We put that in the AMCC update, of course. So keep pushing that. We'll keep pushing that. Super important piece of the ecosystem of support. Our MEPs is multi-decade investment, in every state in the union. Jennifer, welcome.
Hi, I was going to say the same thing. I just, Colorado is in that list of July 1 centers. And the funding was not restored. It was actually just a partial restoration for those April 1 centers till September. And it's really looking like this is a move around Congress. And by that, you have Texas, Tennessee, Oregon, Oklahoma, North Carolina, New Hampshire, Michigan, Indiana, Connecticut, Colorado, Virginia will not have money as of July 1. And we're talking about, we have to make decisions this week. Like, I'm going to have to lay off people, and we're going to have to close. People are closing their doors if we don't get that funding that was already appropriated by Congress. So, anybody interested in writing your legislators, let us know. I will send you talking points. I will send you whatever you need, but we need specifically Republicans in Congress to behind the scenes say something.
Jennifer, we put in the AMCC update top line info on that. David could drop in the chat. Carrie Hines came on a Monday call and shared, which we also posted, a kind of a draft template letter. You know,
Yeah, we got a new one this week, so I'm happy to
Okay.
share. Because I talked to Carrie this
Okay.
morning.
Oh, excellent, excellent, awesome. Thank you for that. Selena Green from Economic Recovery Corps. You want to quickly introduce yourself?
Hello, I'm Selena Green. I'm a fellow with the Economic Recovery Corps. I am working with the Northwestern Indiana Regional Planning Commission, and I am supporting their efforts to towards business attraction and property redevelopment along what we're calling the quantum corridor, trying to attract quantum adjacent businesses into the Northwest Indiana region and really transform economic development to high-tech manufacturing and other quantum related industries. So that's my work. Glad to be here.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, glad you're on here. And of course, the Economic Recovery Corps is honchoed by the International Economic Development Council, IEDC. And I think, well, Selena, you could tell me, but I think it's 300? No, maybe that's too many. I can't remember what the number was. David, do you remember how many fellows
it's
there
about
are?
65 fellows nationwide.
65. Yeah. It's a great model for local people to be, you know, in local communities doing important work. So Kelly, welcome. Where are you in the world? Kelly Sewards.
Hi, nice to see you, Matt. Thanks for the invite to connect with everyone. I wanted to follow up with some of the other comments regarding MEP and just add a little bit more to that. In this process of, protecting and continuing to grow the MEP network, I think the network component of this is extremely important. And as part of this challenge that we're facing with some efforts to disrupt the network, I think it's problematic. This word reform has kind of crept into the discussion, and I wanted to push back with the community a little bit on that, because the power of the network is that we're big and we're small and we're not all configured the same way, and we're very tailored to what's going on in our states and regions so that we can stay flexible and nimble and help each other as centers grow and change and adapt over time. And that's what we've been doing for nearly 30 years. And so I think some of the alternate ideas that are springing up can be a little bit challenging, because I think they actually undermine the power of having a complete network. So I just wanted to toss that out there, that I think our strength will be best served by preserving the whole network and not diminishing it with winners and losers and based on size or some other criteria.
No, thanks for that, Kelly. Phil Singerman? Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Yeah, so, some of I had something to do with the MEP program for a number of years. And we actually made a major reform in 2016. New legislation set in place a significant recompetition process, very rigorous. The current discussion, recommendations about reform, these are really unprincipled. These are just ways to take the funding and repurpose it for other uses that are not authorized by Congress. So there's really you should not take any of those. This is coming from the Trump administration. Should not take any of those comments seriously. They're not serious. They're not serious proposals. It's just rationalizations for stealing the money and using it for other things that are not authorized by Congress or serve the national interest.
Thanks for that, Phil. And both Phil and Kelly serve on our AMCC advisory board, and we're very grateful for that. And thanks to both of you and others in advance for educating me what these other alternative proposals are, so that we can understand what they're talking about. Let's see, any other folks want to chime in here? I mean, I'm happy to, we can stay on this issue. We can turn to other issues. Other people want to come. I see another Economic Recovery Corps person. You want to, Angeline, you want to introduce yourself real quick? Where are you in the country? Yeah.
Good morning. My name is Angeline Johnson, and I've been able to be on these calls for some time now. So thank you for the call out, Matt. Again, Angeline Johnson, I am an Economic Recovery Corps Fellow located in Wichita, Kansas, working with the Greater Wichita Partnership on regional economic development efforts across a 10-county region here in South Central Kansas.
Which is a great spot. So you must be close with Deb Franklin and
Yes.
NIAR, which is really a really cool space, trying to help the aerospace industry with all kinds of new tactics, operational improvement tactics in manufacturing. Very cool. And if you recall from the AMCC update, we had a visit to Utah, which they were, Angeline, they were copying NIAR there in Wichita, Kansas, or talking about how they wanted to emulate the good hard work, and that's the kind of cross-pollination that is really, we need to accelerate the pace of that, and so we get these new innovations, making smarter products to solve problems. So welcome as always, and looking forward to good new good ideas coming forward out of your Economic Recovery Corps work there. Yeah.
Thank you, Matt. And Wichita State University and our Innovation Campus and NIAR have absolutely been huge contributors to the field and a great contributor to the successes happening here in Wichita. So thank you for highlighting that.
Yeah. Deb is also on our board of advisors. So awesome. Other folks, this is a roundtable call. We have, lots of cool things. We put a big deal in the, I'm going to call this one out from the update. So, with Nathan Oley at IEDC, who's launching the Economic Recovery Corps, he's a longtime AMCCer from the IMCP program, lots of alphabet soup there. But the crossover between the manufacturing cornerstone and economic development needs to be, strengthened. And so a lot of movement in that area, which is good. One important player of the ecosystem are state governments. So we're talking about the MEP, federal investment into MEPs, which is critical. Also, an important part of the ecosystem are state governments. What are they doing on there? Do they have economic development strategies, manufacturing strategies, et cetera? And California just came out with its California Economic Blueprint, which is a bottom-up model, something AMCC and going way back that we've been participating in their governance process through a group called California Forward we've reported about. But what's really cool is they've broken the state up into 13 sub-regions, and there are priority sectors. And number 6 is manufacturing, and then they say, number 6, manufacturing applies to 1 through 5, and 1 through 5 pretty much copies the framework that AMCCers have been accustomed to seeing in the AMCC community. So it's aerospace and defense, clean energy, high tech, health, life sciences, and agriculture. They call it working lands. So it's great to see stakeholders around the country like this state government, and it's just one state government. We've talked a lot about Connecticut's model with the chief manufacturing officer. That's a good model. There's a lot of good models. We want to hear more, more from you. We had a call with the National Governors Association to try to share kind of the evolving best practices of the state government role. California's plan, they've gotten 13 of these sub-regions some money, and they each developed their own strategy. And then as an entire state, they submitted it to EDA to get designated as the SEDS program. So for people familiar with that, so that's a comprehensive tactic that the state government, as one player in the ecosystem, can continuously add value bottom up, empowering regional leaders to run the show. And so wanted to make sure folks are aware of that, and we're going to see how it evolves. We shared also 2 examples of one of those 13 regional plans, just so you can take a look and see like what's happening in your neck of the woods. Is how, if at all, is the state involved? We're working with NAM on trying to co-create these vertical exchanges around sub industries. And we're trying to, and we are getting, many state government leaders to lean in more than they otherwise have in the past. So it's a trend. We're going to keep on this. We're going to keep sharing this with you, and we want your engagement on it. Right? There's a lot of different things. There's no way we're going to know everything that's going on there, but we can see where the puck is headed, and we've got to anticipate it, inform it, and add value to it. Sandra, sorry, I saw your hand up. Please.
No, that's okay. Good morning, everyone. Just since you mentioned California, I thought this was a good opportunity for me to introduce myself. This is my very first meeting. So thank you for coordinating these meetings. And I'm so glad that we recently learned about it, and we hopefully plan to have some representation here weekly. But my name is Sandra Cisco. I'm Director of Development and Strategic Partnerships for Manufacturers Council of the Inland Empire. It's a 2-county region in Southern California, touching on LA County, Orange County, San Diego County, and Imperial County as well. And we've been around for about 25 years. And we are in the process of being part of the regional application that you just spoke to, Matt, for some of the funding for advanced manufacturing. It's been an interesting process. I'm used to applying for federal, state, and local funding. And so this is a brand spanking new process, and it twists and turns along the way. So anyways, we will certainly try to keep you posted on that. And like I said, we'll hopefully have somebody from MCIE represented on this meeting on a regular basis, depending on all of
That's great. Yeah, of course. That's great, Sandra. Thanks so much for being on. We're hoping to have an AMCC roadshow visit in the Inland Empire in June. Yeah, so we're looking forward to that. Stacy.
Hi, everyone. Stacy Kohlmeyer Johnson. I'm the Executive Director of the Manufacturers Council of the Central Valley, and that's in California. And we were recently selected as one of the 13 regions advanced manufacturing convener associations, and are just beginning our work there. Our region is the Stanislaus, San Joaquin, and Merced counties, so the Northern Valley as defined by the state. And our manufacturing base has typically been quite heavy into food production and associated industries, packaging, plastics, things of that nature. And so our initiative is to identify a strategy to encourage more advanced manufacturing investment in the region, and to grow the manufacturing base accordingly. So I've been participating just for a couple of weeks. I think this is a great best practice model for reaching out to members and allied industry folks. And thank you for the opportunity to participate.
Awesome, Stacy. Welcome always, and keep us posted on like what you're looking at to evaluate your next steps, right? Because this community of practice, you know, has a lot of good ideas, and you're going to probably come up with stuff that would be, you know, useful to everyone else. Glenn, welcome. Yeah.
There we go. Hi, good morning, Glenn Tobiasen from Inouye and Carvatura. We're talking a lot about manufacturing, and I can't say too much about the MEPs, but manufacturing in different states, and times it's difficult to get funding from the feds or from the states and things like that these days. One can understand that. I'm not going to get into the politics of it. Rather, if Carvatura wants to create manufacturing in a state, in a county somewhere, we supply all the funding we need ourselves. We do that ourselves. We supply all the funding that is there. We bring in manufacturing. We desire to bring in manufacturing into a state, into a county, and supply a lot or create a lot of very high-paying jobs in the whole.
Great, Glenn. Thank you. If you put your information into the chat, and we could have a follow-up conversation, right? So we're, you know, free, open source, public, private, nonprofit organizations can participate. And we talk a lot about how do we enable the private sector to move farther, faster in this space. So, you know, we've had, you know, we knock on every door, right? Philanthropy. We had, you know, Bert Foyce, you know, who's a leading philanthropist on here to try to help folks, you know, understand what knocking on that door means, right? And the tactics to do that. Yours sounds like another one. So we're always excited to learn about that and share what makes sense because we've got a lot of, you know, like I said in the text or the update, you know, a lot of good hard work ahead of us, and we've got to use teamwork and collaboration, the best evidence, bring that to bear, strengthen our ecosystem, not undermine it. And that's going to take, you know, inviting a lot more players into the game. So thanks in advance, Glenn. Looking forward to getting that.
Welcome.
And yeah, and you guys check out the text, man. There's a lot of good information getting shared with the text. David, this came up before, like people say, hey, you know, how can I get the text? Do we save the text, or is that just a one-off when we do that? Yeah.
Yeah, so the texts are both saved between weeks. So if you join the next Monday call, you can see previous week's texts. I also have them all saved. If you'd want to reach out to me, I can download it and send it to you. You can also stay on at the end of these calls and save it yourself. So there's 3 ways.
3 ways. Look at that. Operations Director David Van Sicklen, man, he's running the show. Thank you, David, for that. And we're at time. And we'll stay on a little bit longer for those that want to chat. But we respect your time. We keep these. This is why this thing has lasted for a decade. This call is that we keep it right at 30 minutes because you guys are systems leaders out there. And you got a lot of good hard work to do. This is the tricky part. We've got to be good in our silos and our regular jobs, but then have our eyes open to the rest of the ecosystem of support so we can really engender collective impact toward outcomes that we all share. So thanks for being on the call. David, what's on deck for next Monday, the next couple of Mondays? Yeah.
Yeah, we've got a roundtable on the 28th, and then we'll have the Employee Ownership Exchange Network on the 5th of May. On the 12th of May, Matt, I believe we'll be in Colorado, so we should have something on the ground for everyone.
Very cool. The National Renewable Energy Laboratory. Very cool. Awesome. Thank you all. Have a great week, and please keep in touch. And we'll see you next week.
Hey, Matt.
Thanks, everyone.
Matt,
Yeah.
this is Dan. I
Hey,
said,
Dan.
are you